Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, I got the same, and I'm going to put headphones on my phone. It's a bit weird. Just keep talking.
Oh.
And then, know.
Yeah, you sound better now. It's actually louder and clearer.
Nice. Hey, Jamie.
So what's going on?
Hiya, Jamie. Not much. What about you? What have you done?
Not much.
It's like
Just uploaded my my video on Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal.
The spring breaker.
Huh?
I call it a spring breaker.
The spring breaker? That's funny.
Yeah, that's what it is, because that's who she's going to appeal to. She is a spring breaker, and spring breakers are dumb.
Yeah. Well,
and they poke their tongues out a lot, like Satan, when they're at parties.
You know what the other thing is, though, too, where it's like...
Oh, they're sluts. And they drink too much alcohol, and they just come out with crazy shit.
You know, I can't even...
Why don't you give everything down for free? Like, I'm just like so loving as I can, and I wish we all like love and care for each other, like everything be like peaceful.
Okay? I can't even...
Just like free stuff, like free healthcare, Jamie.
I can't even...
Free healthcare.
I can't even...
What about free education?
I can't even
Jamie.
hear the term sluts without even thinking of Jesse Lee Peterson.
Oh yeah, I like him. He's my dude.
I saw a thing with him at a women's march the other day where he's talking to these girls and they're like, yeah, we're sluts. Guys can be... And he's like, well, you know, guys can't be sluts. And they're like, why not? And he's like, because they're slut makers.
You gotta love the guy. Where does he get them from? Where does he get these lines, man? You can't up to them all by himself. I'll tell you what I have done this week. I don't know if you are interested. I'm not fully through it. I'm just reading through the Prince investigation.
Uh-huh.
And I've just been trolling about what fans are saying as well. And I want to say how wrong they are and how dumb they are. Like everyone's going, how can there not be a criminal case? Why is there no criminal? Why isn't anyone doing anything? It's like, because it's nearly impossible to prove.
Yeah.
But if they didn't get it on Michael Jackson, they're not going to get it on Prince. So there's not, I mean, it is America. It's not normally going to get a criminal case out of this. Because it's a drug overdose.
Yeah.
It's fucking difficult to prove. So why don't you dickheads, if Prince's family really cared about him, there'd be a civil case. That's the way you have to go, a civil case. And you got your suspect. We all know who the suspect is reading through the police file. And the reason he's getting away with it is because no one's going to apply a civil case against them. And more to that, the prime suspect is head of Paisley Park now. So good luck with that.
Well, and
it shows that no one gave a fuck about Prince that was with him. Like, a few people did, and they're not doing it. They don't care.
But the other...
And if you watch this... Sorry, just before you jump in, if you watch this Mike Judge did this tour bus thing about... One of them's about the West, and it's cartoons about the stories of being on the road. They did one about funk. And all these people that are still alive, that played with James Brown, that played with, Rick James, that played with Prince, that played with The Time, they are disrespectful towards Prince when he's dead. They're like, that little motherfucker really could play, that little motherfucker, he really was a motherfucker. It's like, you wouldn't have spoken to Prince like that when he was alive. Come on.
I don't, you know,
so
but the thing is like
everybody is.
I've always heard that, you know, I kind of think, though, it's one of those things where, like, Prince was very elusive and, like, you know, he was a recluse, too. So, I mean, I don't see Prince as being the most friendly of characters. Not saying he was a dick or he was mean. I think he just wasn't interested in, like, socializing.
Oh, he would have been difficult. Yeah,
I don't think he was, like, even the stories, you know, like that Dave Chappelle, that he would do the skits about Prince. It always seemed like he was very, like, reserved and, like, you know, not very chummy with people. So, like, I could kind of see people as taking that as, like, him being a dick, when I don't think that was the intentions. I think he just wasn't interested.
Well, I found out exactly where he got the drugs from. That's easy. Because Prince can't get drugs, can he? I mean, Prince can't do anything reading investigation. Prince can't do anything. Like, people have to do everything for him. Like, everything. So he can't get prescription drugs, can he? Because it's going to be all over the papers. So if he can't get prescription drugs, he's not going to be able to get illegal drugs. So the guy that got it from was Kirk Johnson. All the prescriptions are in Kirk's name. So if the prescriptions are in Kirk's name, that was his bodyguard at the time. And he's like main guy. And you can tell, man, the guy is slimy. All the investigation, like everyone's slagging off Kirk James, and it's Kirk James you need to interview, and Federer, his manager. It looks like a couple of $1 million was stolen just before he died. That was going on. Through like the royalties. So that was being fiddled. And the only real standout things were two standouts were Prince did die in the elevator. So I think the paramedics dragged him out the elevator to try and recover him. And that's why he's pointing to the star on the carpet. So he didn't die there. It looks like he's been dragged. So the carpet's moved underneath him. So it looks like someone's pulled him and dragged him out. And I hate looking at photos of Prince like that, but these people obviously can't do a very good job. So the thing is Prince never, ever, 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 ever in a billion years used the elevator at Paisley Park. He didn't use it. Never. That was for you. That's for people to hug equipment around. He never did that. And even all through the investigation, like the people that actually cared about Prince were saying, "Hey, I just want to say," when the police investigate them and just talk, they're just asking questions like, "What was Prince like?" Just normal questions. And everyone's going, "This woman's crap. She doesn't know anything about the embassy. She doesn't know anything about Prince." They don't get she's playing dumb. But police are very good at questioning. She only needs one piece of information. Just one piece. And that was, where did the drugs come from? And if you look at her line of questioning that way, she's a genius, because she's really getting people to just open up and just talk. A lot of the stuff she's talking about, a lot of the questions are not relevant to what she needs. She's just building a baseline of the person. Because before you question Jamie, I've got to build a baseline for you to know what your rhythms are, you know, what your baseline is. So I know when you go off the baseline, and then that's when I need to probe. And that's what she did. She only needs to know, did Kirk give Prince the drugs? But yeah, it was weird that he was in the elevator. Why did he go in the elevator? It's a complete mystery. Doesn't sound like Prince would do that. And the next part, which was weird, was his clothes were all inside out.
That I didn't know,
he's
but
wearing
that's
the same,
very weird.
Yeah. Yeah, all of them are inside out. So, you know the clothes he was wearing at Walmart? You know, in his famous waiting for the drugs at Walmart, he's wearing the black hat and the black stuff. He's wearing the same stuff, but it's inside out. And he had drugs in his pocket. So they're actually in his pocket. So that's weird of Prince, because most of Prince's clothes don't even have... Prince doesn't do pockets. And even his team was saying that. It's like, Prince doesn't have pockets, man. You don't walk like we walk around with this stuff. Like, what would he put in his pocket? What's Prince going to put in his pocket?
Yeah.
His clothes don't have pockets.
Well, I tend to think, you know, that's...
Like, 99% of his clothes don't have pockets. The chance, like... And you have to think, why would Prince put fentanyl in his fucking pocket?
Well, I tend to think that, like... You know, there's things like that where it's like the being inside out. It's like the calling card things where it's like the people that know what this really is are supposed to look at that as like a cue. Like, you know, it's like in comic books, the Joker leaving behind the playing card. It's like, so the people that are supposed to know who did this job. As far as like the clothes being inside out and stuff like that.
So there wasn't... Protocol was weird that night because his normal bodyguard, who I like, there's one bodyguard who really did look out for Prince. His name's Romeo. He seems like a cool cat, like he really did care for that guy. And he was saying that he was told not to come in that night. And he didn't know who was at Paisley Park that night. But he was saying, like, that never happens. Because Prince can't do shit by himself. Like, I'm always there. Always. So to not be there that night was weird. And then he went to his party and went back by himself, and he says that's just a complete breach protocol, because lots of people can get into Paisley and lots of people are in Paisley all the time. So if he goes somewhere, he always goes to somebody. So in fact, he went to his room by himself. And then Paisley Park went on shutdown. So it was on shutdown before he died. They did shutdowns. I don't know what so he describes what a shutdown is. You know what a shutdown is. Like, no one's in Paisley that night. And the only 3 people there were Federer, Kirk, and some other chick. And Judith Hill, by the sounds of it, she was there. And none of those people, none of them are cooperating with the cops. They're just not cooperating. So all the people that were there that night are just not interested in helping the police investigate. They just don't know what's okay.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, you know, if there's obviously a conspiracy, and if they were able to get Prince, like, they'd definitely be able to get the people that are part of the Prince, you know, band that no one's really familiar with.
Well, it's only 2 possibilities. Possibility 1 is that Kirk Johnson did get the drugs, and he just fucked up and got, you know, fake fentanyl. Happens. That probably does happen all the time.
Well, no, fentanyl kills people all the time. That's part of the opioid problem, where people are shooting up what they think is heroin, and it's actually fentanyl.
It's quite complicated, but yeah, the drugs were mixed up, so they were actually labelled on the actual pill itself. They were branded, and that's how they got mixed up. So it wasn't just they were in different tubs. It's like they were counterfeit. So the pills were counterfeit. So that could have done it.
Yeah.
So either that happened, or the other option is that Kirk Johnson and Federer forced the drugs down him, or just fed it to him in his food, or something like that, and moved his body. But yeah, Romeo says that when he didn't want to look at the police photos of Prince dead because he's his friend, but someone put him in that elevator. Prince doesn't have CCTV. Doesn't have any.
Really?
None.
That's kind of surprising.
No. It says he removed it in 2012. It says the only security they had was the fence.
Well, he's probably, you know what it was, is Prince probably was getting worried that someone could hack the CCTV.
Yeah, he was just saying he didn't want to be recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. So yeah, so there's pretty much no security in Paisley Park. It's just a gate, the front door, and then you're in.
Yeah,
was there anything else I've missed?
I tend
but it's just the way you can tell there's this Prince camp that were around him during the day. They don't give a shit about him. They're all quite new, and the people that really cared for him were just cut out of the circle straight away. Because they all want questions. So like, you were with him that night. You must have given him the drugs, because Prince can't get drugs. Who's he going to get drugs from? Is he going to go out on the black? I mean, come on, what's he going to do? Put a hood on and go out and score some drugs? They're like, come on. And then it's just the way during the police photos they left the powder scattered on his table. It's like he was doing pills, so it looks like the scattered pills is there for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Prince to do that. So yeah, it's 50-50. I'm 50-50 on it, but I think you would easily win a civil case. Easy. Because all the prescriptions are in Kirk's name, and Kirk's name was there that night. So I think you'd win that civil case on that.
Well, I
tend
tend
to get a criminal case.
I tend to look at the Prince thing the same way as Michael Jackson, where it's like I feel like there are these icons that, you know, it's like if Donald Trump came out tomorrow and said there's aliens, we've been working with them for 50 years, you know, since Roswell or whatever, and, you know, so on and so forth, I feel like there would be some people that would still have their doubts because they don't like Trump. Or even the same thing with Obama. Even if Obama came out and said something like that, people would be reluctant. But, you know, musicians like Prince and Michael Jackson, whose songs have, like, defined people's lives and stuff, if they came out and said something like, you know, Prince talking about chemtrails, or, you know, Michael Jackson talking about pedophiles in the industry, people are going to believe them more than they are going to believe, you know, other people. I mean, even look at this Jesse Smollett thing.
It's creepy how the prime suspect ends up being the head of Paisley Park now. Like, when you go there, he's the guy that...
Well, I'd bet that was part of the deal. That was part of the, you know, whoever went to him and was like, listen, if you take him out, you'll end up being in charge of all this and you'll be set for life.
Yeah, so the 3 people who are really dodgy were the 3 people that are basically running Paisley at the time. They're not good characters. And all the people that are good characters and I would trust are very into Jesus, very into God, very concerned about Prince. And also just the way his stuff was auctioned seems a bit off.
Yeah.
Because those were like, when you auction Prince's stuff, it's like stuff people recognise, like one of his guitars, his hat with the gold chains. It's like, come on, man. Can't steal Prince's hat or his guitar.
Yeah, I feel like some of that stuff should just be like donated to music museums rather than...
Should just stay in Paisley.
Yeah.
Should just stay there. So it's not as if Prince was an extravagant guitar collector. It's not as if he had many guitars like lying around. So yeah, the other thing is that his engineer said when he knew people were ransacking it, like just within hours of when he died, people were leaving boxes and stuff, and he was like, "What the fuck? What are you guys doing? This is Prince's home, and you're around. It's not even cold, and you're putting stuff in your cars." He said, "I don't know what was in the boxes, but it's just like they were just taking out souvenirs and." And the fact that Fault got open so quickly.
Yeah.
It looked like it was. So yeah, it's just lots of shadiness.
I think of Diana Ross. Was it Diana Ross, or it was one of those, maybe Shaka Khan, or it was one of those like female soul singers that when Whitney died, she did an interview, and she said right in the interview, "I've had people come up to me and say, you're worth more to me dead than alive at this rate." And it's
yeah,
like...
you remember, I read the Prince contract. I'm sorry, Prince, you fucked over Warner Brothers. You fucked them over. I'm not saying whether it's wrong or right, because Warner Brothers isn't a person, it's a corporation, but he screwed them, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So Prince did amazing at Warner Brothers, and then he re-signs with... I don't know if you want to piss those people off too much. I don't know. I do think that you can't rule out that Kirk fucked up and brought shit drugs.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that I think is very telling is nowadays you see Prince songs being used on commercials and stuff that he wouldn't have signed off on.
Yeah.
Like there's like credit card commercials with "Let's Go Crazy" playing in them and all sorts of stuff.
The way he was used in the Super Bowl was just not very good. Oh,
yeah.
Nice. And the other thing I'm not going to mention, just move on because it's just really sad when you realise why he was so lonely. And I don't think he was that difficult. I just think it took a long time for him to warm to you.
Yeah.
Well, for me and you, it takes a couple of days to warm to him. I think for Prince, it's about 4 months just for him to talk to you.
Well, I don't know.
And then when he's on stage, he's like a different guy. That's when he comes alive.
I feel like to some extent, it kind of reminds me of like Milo had said this one time talking about Ben Shapiro, where he said, the thing with Ben Shapiro is when you're a child prodigy, you don't get the normal chances to socialize because you're just being brought around to show off whatever you're excelling in. So it's like you're very socially awkward. And I think Prince is in that same boat where it's like he was a child prodigy. So it's like more when during the day and age when he should have been like socializing with other kids, he was just there playing instruments and stuff. So it's like he probably just wasn't as socially inept or adapted as other people, and so yeah, it probably did take him longer.
Do you remember Larry Graham, the
No.
bass player from? He was the bass player from Earth, Wind and Fire, I think, and he used to always hang around Prince. He converted him to Jehovah's Witness. Always plays the bass. Larry Graham. Just quickly put him in Google because you'll recognise him straight away. That was Prince's bestest friend for 20 years. His spiritual advisor, his brother. That's all you hear from the two. So Larry Graham had a couple of meetings with Prince just before he died, days before, because Prince was going to give him $1 million to build a house, because he does a lot of preaching, does a lot of stuff for kids. It's like, let me buy your house, and when you're ready, just let me know when you want the money. So Larry waited a couple of years, and then he phoned Prince like, if the money's still on standby, I'd like it. So they met up, and Prince was cancelling gigs with Larry because he was ill. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, we're going to have to cancel the tour. So Prince had just had the plane incident where he technically died on a plane, and they had to give him, all the injections. The police asked him, did you talk to Prince about the plane incident? And Larry said no. So, what? You're his spiritual advisor. Prince dies of an overdose on the plane, and you don't bring it up. You're his spiritual advisor, his brother, apparently, and you don't talk to him about that. Well, what do you talk about if you're a spiritual advisor? You don't talk about that.
Yeah, that's a little
You
odd.
didn't talk to Prince about the fact he overdosed just a couple of days ago and nearly died. And if anyone would have spoken to Prince about it, it should have been Larry.
Well, and I'm pretty
And
sure.
it's just weird. It just seemed really cold, where he just went no. There was no like, oh, I regret it now. Like if the police were asking me and I hadn't done it, I'd be like, no, but fuck, I should have done.
Yeah.
Because he's dead now. Yeah, it's just how cold it was, where he was just talking about getting £1 million. Did you talk about him overdosing? Nope. Just $1 million I want. For fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, to some extent, I wonder if there isn't, it's like, I almost feel like it's like it
You
can't.
don't sound upset that it's gone. I mean,
Well,
it's just
but
nothing.
the thing is again, I'm, thinking of it from that sort of conspiracy aspect where it's like, it's like you wonder if that was like someone's failed attempt to take him out then, and it's like, you almost wonder if talking about it would put you in danger, like if there's a reason why he didn't. I mean, I would venture to guess he probably did talk to him about it, but he wasn't going to say that on record.
Yeah, well, the last one I'm going to say, when people think Prince is difficult, when you go through all these witness statements and listen to them, the people that describe Prince as awkward are not awkward people themselves, but the people that come across as really nice, like people you would want to hang around with, like real community-based people, they never had an issue with Prince, and they had nothing but great things to say about him. So I think it just depends on you.
Yeah.
I really do, because a lot of people that are like, oh, Prince is this, Prince is that, they're kind of like that themselves. But the women, it's mainly the women, like the models, but they had a great relationship with him. So and they seem like really, like, it's pretty rare that I say women are nice, but these women seem like really great women. They really cared for him. But anyway, Anthony Weiner is out of prison.
Is he?
Weiner! Yeah, he's out of prison. Yeah, they're trying to return an ISIS bride to Britain. Have you seen that?
No, that I haven't.
Yeah, this ISIS bride. She went to fight with ISIS. Well, her husband did. So she went to Syria. She described about how she saw these beheadings and all these killings. But like they lost the war, so now she's a refugee. She's already lost 3 babies. She's pregnant again, so she's coming back to Britain. An ex-ISIS bride.
You know what I did
And
see?
then they ask her like, what, like, do you regret being an ISIS? She's like, no. It's like, why should we let you back in? It's like, 'cause I'm woman. Woman. Basically that, I'm pregnant and I'm vulnerable, people should care for me. And like, that was it, she's in.
You know what that reminds me of, though? I did see where in New York you had a case where a guy, I think he killed his wife who was pregnant at the time. And so he was getting charged with, I think it was like, the death of the woman, and then maybe like some sort of abortion charge of some sort. So they were trying to get him for killing the baby and, the other thing. Well, now that abortion has been extended and expanded in New York, the charge for killing the unborn baby has been changed and lessened, where now it's like involuntary abortion instead of a murder charge, basically.
There's no such thing as infant. I don't know if there's such a thing.
Well, I could be getting the the specifics of what the actual statutes are.
No, it probably is that. It's just that's how, like Owen says, they're wizards.
Yeah.
Just use rhetoric or anything, man.
Yeah, but it's something like that, where originally he was going to be charged with the death of this child, But now it's being covered under this expanded abortion law, so he's not getting charged with it anymore. And it's like, you know, I've had people tell me, oh, well, you know, this just expands it for if the woman's life is in danger. And it's like, no, you don't understand how laws work. They have unforeseen consequences when setting precedent, like in this case now, where a guy can kill a pregnant woman and he doesn't have to get charged with the baby because the baby's just a cluster of cells. It's not... I mean, the new thing I've saw, the new talking point that is so disgusting is that baby... you know, pregnancies, a woman with a baby in her stomach, that's not a human, it's a parasite. I mean, Twitter is filled with women saying that the babies growing inside them are parasites. And it's like, talk about devaluation of human life. Like, to say an infant, and the crazy thing is like, I was watching this girl, this YouTuber, talk about it, and she says, you know, they're saying it's a parasite because it's living in the mother, it feeds off the mother and everything like that. She said, but even after the baby's born, you have to change it, you have to feed it, you have to take care of it. Like, it still is dependent upon others. Like, it doesn't just pop out of the womb and take care of itself. So why, if this is your standard that, you know, it's a parasite because others have to provide for it, so then we should be able to kill children up until 18, if that's the way you want to look at it.
Jamie, I'll be back in a minute. Carry on.
Okay. But I just think it's, you know, there's a thing with the left right now where it gets very sociopathic. Like, one of my favorite YouTubers right now is this guy, Barely Informed Iliad, or Ilad, I think it's Ilad. Barely Informed Ilad. You can, if anyone wants to check out the video I posted this morning, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's new white privilege deal. And it's basically him interviewing people about the Green New Deal, and I try to show and basically appropriate the term white privilege to show these environmentalists and stuff. And same could be said about the people advocating for abortion. You know, more often than not, I mean, you see little girls at these women's marches talking about things that they don't have the faintest fucking clue about, and it's just... I really think that is white privilege. And it's why liberals can relate to that idea of white privilege, because it's all of their positions. When these fools are out in the streets saying climate change affects marginalized communities more than it doesn't, I mean, I guess I could kind of make a case that it doesn't, because, you know, black people and Hispanic people, their skin is more adapted to sunlight. So let's say the temperatures are getting hotter, the sun is beating down more, so the climate is changing and it's global warming. Well, black and brown people would be more adapted to that than white people that get sunburn and such. So I don't see how, even if we were to try to make that case, how climate change and hotter climates would be negative for these communities, when these are communities that all come from hotter climates, more sunshine, and all that. But it's the white privilege thing, where these people live in such little bubbles and are so removed from the lives of the minorities they advocate for that they just seem like idiots. I also saw that guy Elad do an interview in New York City recently. There was a solidarity protest for Jussie Smollett, which, I mean, I guess you got to do that because the whole story is falling apart. But one of the interesting developments in that now is Kamala Harris is being tied to the narrative, where there's a theory going around that Jussie Smollett was colluding with Kamala Harris, where they're saying that's why he was so you know, reluctant to give the phone records, and the ones he gave were redacted and things like that. And they're saying basically that Smollett was colluding with Kamala Harris, and it makes sense, because if Kamala Harris runs for president, you know, she can basically bring out Jussie Smollett as the victim of Trump's America and make him the poster child of, you know, targeted minorities. The same way Trump uses the angel moms to help make the case for building a wall, Kamala Harris could make a case for, you know, we need more hate crime laws because look at what happened to Jussie Smollett, so on and so forth. And, you know, they were also writing his character off the cast of Empire. And this, of course, gives the excuse of, you know, well, now we should have him there and we should, you know, use the thing to put in political narratives. That brings me to another point. You know, it's a awards season going on, and I think it's the Oscars. The movie Black Klansman was nominated, which I do have to say, for being a pro-Black Power propaganda flick, I like it, as long as I know that, you know, it is extremely biased, extremely jaded. There's plenty of funny moments in that movie. It's really funny, really good movie. But at the end of the movie, right when the credits should be rolling, they start showing clips of the Charlottesville protests, all these other protests, and I'm watching it with my friend, and we comment, did you notice how most of the footage of these protests where they're trying to make this case about, oh, white people hate blacks, it's all footage of white people fighting other white people. It was never any footage of white people targeting and attacking black people, so it was very odd. But if there was, like, if there is not a more apparent way, basically, to let it be known, this is a propaganda flick, that the messaging in the movie is targeted to be a statement on the real-life events that they just thrown in there at the end. Like, there's no reason in that movie, which is supposed to take place, you know, when David Duke was 20-something or whatever, and then, you know, they're going to clips nowadays. And, I mean, there's parts in it, like me and my friend were watching it, you know, there's a part where there's a KKK meeting, and you hear little background things, like them being like, yeah, we're going to make America great again, just sort of whispered in the background. And, you know, all this America first, like using Trump campaign slogans as if that's what the KKK was saying back in the 60s or something. I mean, just, again, it's a propaganda flick, and if you know you're watching a propaganda flick, there's plenty of parts you can enjoy, but it's ridiculous. And I like, it's a good movie, but, you know, movie of the year category, does it deserve to be in there? No, but it is, because it's like a pro-Black Power piece that just has plenty of propaganda parts thrown in there.
Well, with Trump, he's done this national emergency, which isn't really his greatest move.
Why?
I just think it's a bit extreme to a national emergency. If Obama pulled that off, we'd all be bitching about it. But because it's Trump. Okay.
I don't know. I think it depends on, like, the context. National emergency, I mean, it's not like he's declaring martial law.
Yeah, it's not the worst, but it's not really the greatest move.
I mean, it's like, so, there's, you know, like,
it's just going to be, that's going to be his 2020 campaign, to finish the wall that I didn't start.
I think the way this has all been handled, looking at it in retrospect, the way it's all been handled, I think is complete genius, though. Because what he did is, he shut down the government, and then he tried over and over to make concessions. He went to the Democrats and he said, hey, Democrats, I'll give you DACA, I'll give you the Dreamers, I'll give you this, I'll give you, just let me get the wall, and I will give you everything you've been asking for. I will give it to you. And what did they say? No. 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 No.
I like the no clue, what's it, the no clue plan. When he did his speech. The no clue plan, all the women in white. That's what I call
So, you know, he shuts down the government, makes this spectacle of it, and just offers concessions the whole way through. And they said no, which you knew they were going to. So now the government's reopened. It's time for the budget thing again. They're still not trying to hear it. And he says, all right, well, I have in the Constitution this power. Like, it's really funny because I saw a friend sent me a Reddit thing about, like, libertarianism, and it's basically all these libertarians bitching about Trump doing this, And then finally a handful of them are like in there saying, wait, libertarians are for the Constitution, right? And people are like, yeah, and that's why this is a breach of power and an overreach and blah, blah, and they say, Section 2, Article whatever, says the president can declare a national emergency over issues concerning border, national security, whatever. He is completely allowed to do this, and this is in the Constitution. This can be done. This is not a overreach. This is a president actually doing what a president is entitled to do. And people have just forgotten that. People think this is something out of the normal. This isn't like executive order overreach. This isn't like a martial law situation. This is the president doing what the president's supposed to do, oversee national security. Now, he's just having to do it in a very, I'm doing this on my own manner. But again, he offered plenty concessions, and that's what I think is so great, is that he really showed which side is willing to come to the table and negotiate. And it's him, not them, because he offered them everything, and now they're not getting any of it because they didn't want the wall. And it's like, you listen to some of these people, again, the channel I was mentioning, Barely Informed Alad, he does an interview talking to people about the wall, and I have to say, it really, just the optics of some of these people being interviewed when other people have to come over to them and be like, come here, just leave, come on, come with me. As if, these people are, mental patients, or, they're lost elderly people who don't know where they are, and someone else has to come over and get them, and be like, oh, come with me, don't talk to that person, he's a stranger, you're in danger, come on, being escorted away. It's a really sad sight. But I mean, these people, I heard someone say in one of these interviews, walls don't work. You can go over a wall, under a wall. You can go through a wall. And I'm just like, through a wall? Really?
David Copperfield.
Do you know what you're saying? Do you know what you're saying? Yeah, David Copperfield. You can just walk right through the wall. Like the Kool-Aid Man busting through a house. We're goddamn ridiculous. I mean, it's really... I feel like I sort of was thinking about it yesterday, where I was like, why is it that all these people I'm seeing from these protests are so ill-informed and uneducated and everything like that? And I'm thinking about, well, a lot of these protests are going on when normal people are at work. So, maybe that's part of it, where it's weeding out the productive, smart people by happening during normal business hours or something? Or is it just people being led by emotions and not having substantial reasons? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's people supporting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, people supporting this Jussie Smollett bullshit, people against the wall, people for women's rights. They're all morons.
See, we've got Owen coming to Manchester.
Owen Benjamin? Really?
Yeah.
That you guys are allowing him in the country? That's almost surprising.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not that bright that it's advertising it, is it? I mean, it's already advertised it's going to see Tommy. Tommy's doing another protest, another Tommy Robinson show. And I worry about Owen doing that, because he's a great guy, but I don't think he really understands what's going on in the UK. I don't think he really understands Tommy Robinson. And when he keeps going on the Jews, it's like, Tommy is Israeli intelligence, man.
Yeah.
If you just asked him, he would say yes. Tommy's not going to lie about it, at least. Give Tommy that. If you just ask him straight, are you Israeli? He's going to be like, yeah. I mean, he's said it loads of times. I mean, it's not a secret. And it looks like Tommy is going to be, I can see him running.
Well, and the other thing, too, that I was going to say that, and it's one of these things where it's almost like Owen acknowledges it, where it's him talking about the French protests and everything, being I like seeing people come together for their nation and all this stuff, and it's okay, but if that's all you need to see to get behind something, this whole yellow...
Yeah, but why can't Tommy just be a supporter of UKIP?
The whole...
Why does he have to be in it?
Yeah. When it's like the whole yellow vest thing in France, like we had talked about, got co-opted very early on, and it became very apparent. Like,
yeah, they would shut it down in a second if they wanted to.
yeah. But it's you know, got other motives behind it at
No,
this
don't get me
point.
wrong. I don't mind seeing Tommy Robinson get big. I don't mind him being Israeli intelligence. He does a great job exposing Muslim rape gangs. Does a great job, but I don't want him in a political field
Yeah.
because we got political people for that.
Well, and
But
then it's
I
sort
don't know
of.
what Tommy's politics are.
Well, see, that's what I was about to get to, because that's when it becomes worrisome, because it's like, does Tommy even have his own politics, or is his
Well, it
politics going
becomes
to
like
be?
the Trump thing as well. It becomes a personality thing too. Where he's
No,
got
see,
massive
see, see. I
personality.
don't think that's going to be the Tommy Robinson thing, because I was going to say it makes you wonder if his politics are just Israeli intelligence positions. Like, is
He's
it?
going to put Israel first, not
Yeah,
Britain. I mean, I don't mind him being Israeli, but then go be an Israeli politician.
yeah.
It's fine.
And that's the thing I'm saying, is it's like, you know, his politics would probably just best reflect whatever's best for Israel instead of what's best for the UK.
Yeah, it's going to be sad. I mean, do we need enough of Tommy Robinson show in the UK right now? Because that's what it is. It's about him exposing Panorama and exposing. It's like, come on.
I did see, though, there's been an uproar in the UK with you know, certain, I think it's like specifically like LGBT stuff being taught in Muslim schools and stuff like that, where now Muslims are basically like, we don't want to be here because you guys are pushing, you know, these things that are like contrary to our Islamic beliefs and stuff like that. And it just sort of makes you wonder, like, then why'd you come here in the first place? Did you not?
Because it'll make LBGT stronger, because the people that aren't Muslim, they're atheists or Christians, they go, look how tolerant we are, we allow it in the school. So we just get a firmer grip in the school. Because to counter it, you have to show tolerance to it. So to show tolerance to it, it's going to be accepted in school. Well, it should just be across the board, get the shit out. That should be something we can actually see eye to eye in Islam. There's a couple of things I can see eye to eye in Islam.
Yeah.
One of them's banning LGBTQ, whatever. The second is banning women from driving. I mean, there's a couple of things, you know, we could work together on.
Well, and
Sorry, women, no more driving, okay?
I agree, like, that a
Try
lot
it.
of that identity, gender, politics stuff has no place in whatever. Oh, you want to hear something funny? This is a little off topic notes, but so I'm trying to think how I can say this and not break a law in the process.
For now, fuck it, man.
So we have a new guest at work, where it's another one of these people that's a girl that identifies as a guy, and when they first came, they identified as one name, and now they're
Hang on. Are they quite butch?
Yes.
They are.
And now they're on testosterone, and they're actually transitioning, but they
Would she beat you in a fight?
no.
Ah.
But now they have a different name. And this is a thing that goes on, where these people, like, they'll have a new boy name every time you see them. So it really almost seems like it's a multiple personality issue more than a just, I'm born a girl and want to be a guy. But, like, the names are all names from, like, Resident Evil, where it would be like Dante, Logan, Skylar,
I'd be Ryu.
like, oh yeah, Ryu. I'm surprised I haven't heard Ryu by now. And I mentioned it to Brett, and Brett's like, this is from too much fucking Twilight zombie romance movies, and like he just goes on this tear, and it didn't even click with me. Where I'm like, you're right, they're all movies out of like all names from like Resident Evil and shit like that. Like, it's
What's she gonna do about balls? Where's she going to get her apples
Who
from?
knows? I'll tell you, working in mental
You
health,
asked.
it's really
Where are you going to get those apples?
it's really dangerous, because it's like, I just don't know who to ask. Like, what delusions am I supposed to co-sign, and what ones am I supposed to say?
Why do you want a cock and balls for?
Who knows? Who knows what's wrong with these people? Now, the other thing, though, that's very interesting is most of the females I've met that identify as guys, they're all autistic. They're not...
Should I tell you a story I'm not proud of?
Mentally sound. Sure.
I'm not proud of this, okay? When I was doing my I haven't told many people. I've told them bits of the story. I'm going to tell the whole story, okay? When I used to do this kickbox and stuff, there was this woman guy there. I have to say woman guy because I don't know, okay? I don't know. But it was big, it was on testosterone, it was ugly, and I think she might have just looked at my Facebook page and just kind of like knew my politics, knew I was like Trump. Basically, we were sparring, you had to do a partner, you could go in a circle, you've got an inner circle, outer circle, do a round, move on to the next person, do a round, move to the next person. She fucking nearly knocked me out. Actually nearly knocked me out.
Well, testosterone.
And I went to Joe and I was like, is that a dude or a woman? That nearly knocked me out.
It's like both.
It's like, I don't know. And then she's allowed to do fighting against other women. It's like, what? She knocked me out, dude. It's not nice. I don't know if you've been knocked out from a punch. Fucking harsh. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't knock me out, but I got the ringing in my ears, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that.
Well, I mean, testosterone, that's...
It's like, no, this is like a brutal woman. Like, she's a brute. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's a woman or a guy. I don't know.
Well, and that's why, you know, there's the big uproar when Ronda Rousey was champion in the UFC, because there was a woman who was born a man who was competing, and Ronda Rousey was like, I'm not fighting them. It still has a man's bone structure, muscle mass, and it's not a fair fight. I'm not doing it. I don't care how you identify. The biology is completely different. Like,
she must have been like 16 stone, man.
And like the one thing I was...
It's like, why are you plummeting someone that's like 8 stone?
The one thing I was talking to Brett about, where we were saying, like, the mental health field is really being destroyed by this whole gender ideology thing, and then the concept of my truth, that there isn't a truth, that you can have your truth and I can have my truth. And I said, okay, so if someone says their truth is they're a guy, but my truth is men can't...
Can I have my maths?
Well, it's like that...
my maths.
Right? Yeah, might as well.
Jamie owes me a lot more than what he does.
Well, and it's even like, but what if
my maths?
But what if my truth is that men can't become women and that women can't become men? So now my truth is at odds.
I'll just have my own English then.
With their truth, and then
and I'll start muddling all the words up, and you won't know why.
Yeah, in my truth, woman means man. So you're still a woman.
In my English.
Yeah.
No, fuck your truth. In my English.
And it's like, so...
We're all little elves.
And that's the thing, is like...
Jamie's a pixie.
How are you ever supposed to help anyone if everyone is operating under their own reality, basically? Because that's what it is when you're saying my truth. You're saying my reality is I'm a leprechaun. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you can't get anywhere like that. It's only going to create chaos.
Little firecrackers.
It's so ridiculous. I really, like, I used to feel sympathy for these people, and I just feel bad for them, but I feel like they're just, nothing of help is coming their way.
Do you not feel awkward about them? Like, I haven't met that many, but it's like, I just feel awkward about the whole thing. It's like, what are you? And can I ask, like, what are you? What's going on?
I don't even...
Like, you're so judgmental. Oh, it's like,
they're broken. That's the only way I feel, and that's how I've always sort of felt whenever I meet them.
Do I bring it up or just ignore it? I don't even know.
I don't know. I just think they're all broken. Like, to me, like, honestly, to me, they're so broken that to bring it up is like going to someone in a wheelchair and being like, "You're in a wheelchair. Do you know you're in a wheelchair? You're crippled. You can't walk. Did you know?" Like, it's like that.
Yeah, it's like
I see it. It's like a disability.
Like, if a transgender asks me what do I think about it, I'll say, look, if you ever feel like committing suicide, give me a call. I don't approve, but
It's
Yeah,
like
well,
I don't know. I just see it like their brain is so
like,
broken.
If they hate it's like I've been set up for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel bad for them. I look at them like they're disabled, like, and they may not like hearing that, but it's the truth. When you really think men can become women,
like, you can change my mind. What is going on? You sit me down one day, can explain it to me.
And here's the thing: is there are plenty of libertarian-minded trans people that will just say, "I've always felt more feminine, so I'm choosing to live my life as a female. It's my business, and that's all there is to it." And to those people, it's a free country, and more power to you. My problem is with the people that want to control my perception of them. And that's where I draw the line. You know, someone who just says, I'm living my life how I want to live, and that's all there is to it, agree with it or disagree, just stay out of my way and let me do my own thing, go for it. But when you're coming to me and saying, you have to see me as a man, me with my...
Have you got a cock and balls?
Well, here's the thing.
Have you got a cock and balls?
Here's the
Jamie, have you got a cock and balls?
Me, yes. Yes.
Right, you're a guy.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing I was going to say. The interesting thing is, let me tell you, some of the females I met that identify as men have the biggest tits that you could fucking imagine. Like, for their bodies, like, if they got any bigger, it would just be out of proportion. Like, you were talking...
That's not identifying very well.
You were talking like a double D rack on a girl trying to be like, I'm a guy. And then it's like, you know, like I told you at one point, we had someone who identifies as a guy say they're pregnant.
But what about the tits? Do you not even say it? Do you not get? But you got.
I'd get fired.
You know what I mean, you got some melons going on there.
You can't, like, I'd get fired, and that's the problem with the whole thing, is that it's like the political correctness has people's hands tied, where it's like, I feel like I need to ask.
Can't you use shock?
I feel like I need to. I'm not in a mental health field where I can't even, their medication isn't even in my wheelhouse. So shock treatment is definitely nowhere in it.
We should start something up.
I'm not in a medical facility like that.
We could be. We could just self-identify as it and then set up a company.
Right?
We self-identify.
I self-identify as an MD. Yeah, I self-identify as a doctor.
I self-identify as knowing what I'm doing. And, yeah, we'll get you cured.
Well, did I ever tell you...
I'd give it 24 hours. I reckon I can do it in 24
hours. Did I ever
hours.
tell you about the crowdfunding campaign I wanted to do for my transition? I wanted to, and I was just going to fill it with social justice lingo about, you know... You
actually have to go through with it if I give you cash for it, though.
Well, I wanted to say, well, my whole transition was going to be like, due to the socioeconomic impacts of the white supremacist male patriarchy, I've been forced to identify as a lower income individual when I identify as a millionaire. So I would like...
No, that's what I was going to do on my CV. I was going to write on my CV, because I'm like just unemployable anyway. It's not going to make a difference. Well, may as well get a laugh. So just say, like, I've not gone into my job history because I'm unemployed, but I'm unemployable, but I self-identify as a great team player.
Yeah.
Great worker, for great work history.
I identify as a millionaire. Please give me money to help my transition.
Well, I'll be asking for a job, yeah. Like, I self-identify as someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, donate to my cause to help me.
Yeah, you don't need to know my work history.
Live my identity.
Self-identify.
Yeah. Yeah, reality doesn't matter. All that matters is what you identify as.
Yeah. So don't bother asking for a reference. And if you do, don't believe anything they tell you. Because it's not true. It's just their reality.
Yeah, that's their truth. And all that matters is my truth. Yeah, fucking ridiculous.
You're being burgled, mate.
I know.
I think you've been robbed.
I mean, I just feel bad for these people because it's like the places they're turning to for help aren't allowed to help them.
It's Jamie. Yeah, great.
Well, it's like you're not allowed to help them because they have it in the legal structure now where it's like if you don't affirm their identity, you're committing a hate crime. So it's like, it's ridiculous. And you know what? I actually didn't realize my Twitter was blowing up this week. You had Chris Pratt on one of these Tonight shows talking about his church and how much he loves God and everything like that. And angry little lesbian Ellen Page came out and said, yeah, but his church anti-LGBT, why isn't he talking about gays, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, first of all, I hate that self-centered shit where it's like you have to make everything about you. Like, you can't just come out and say, hey, on Saturdays my church feeds the homeless. You know, it has to be about the issue that could create conflict for these people. And it's like, so I commented on this and I said, first off, I said, when your worldview can't handle any sort of criticism or any disagreements and you have to seek the people that disagree with you to try to shout them down, you're the supremacist. You are the ones trying to create a supremacy where people are afraid to say anything that conflicts with your idea of what's good and bad. Let me tell you, a lot of people agreed with that, but a lot of people were in an uproar and couldn't see it. They couldn't see it because they were just like, yeah, but it's hate. And I said, yeah, exactly. You think anything that's hate, quote unquote, needs to be shut down because it doesn't agree with you. You don't think that two people can exist in the same space and not agree on everything and just not, like, involve themselves with each other. You think everyone has to agree with this or they need to be shut down. And that just shows how fragile this worldview is if it can't handle any dissent. And that's...
You know what the big question is, though?
What?
When are you going to get your ass over to Europe, to the UK? Dum-dum.
Oh,
it's been years now.
I don't know.
You're no closer.
I feel like I don't have time for vacations. That's the whole problem. I don't even have time to take a weekend off and do anything around here. I mean, I'd have to, like, plan it way far in advance.
Yeah. Nah. You can pop over this week. Get a flight to Amsterdam. I'll meet you there. Fly back to the UK. You alright?
Yeah, if only I didn't have a job where there's only 2 people working at it, and that's me and the boss. I mean, that's the real problem with it.
Tell them to self-identify as closed.
I mean, in actuality, that's, you know, one of the things where occasionally my boss does take a week off to do things for herself. So it's like,
yeah,
I just have to coordinate it with her and be like, listen, let's find a time this year where you and me both agree this is going to be the week we're going to shut down.
Halloween.
And do it then.
Say you self-identify as a Luciferian, and obviously Halloween needs to be taken off.
I could. I self-identify as Styx Hexenhammer.
Yeah, I do apologise for my shirtlessness, but I was going to do it today. I was just going to wear a jacket and nothing else. But then I thought...
Let me tell you.
I mean, it's funny for a couple of seconds, but then it's on the net forever.
Yeah, but in reality, like, every like, I don't even understand how people started having respect for him because, like you just said...
I would do it if I was shredded.
No shirt and a jacket. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'd wear maybe I'd wear a hoodie with nothing under it, like a zip-up hoodie. But like this kid, someone wearing a jacket with no shirt underneath, they should have never deserved respect in the first place.
Unless you've got fingerless gloves and play guitar at the same time. And I think it's pretty alright to do.
It's just ridiculous.
Or if not, he's wearing his robe. I mean, that's where we're going wrong, dude.
By wearing normal clothes, we should be wearing ridiculous shit all the time.
I did more research into the occult and rituals.
And you found out that jackets without t-shirts is part of the 17th degree of Satanism.
If you go back 400 years or so, that's when it kicked off. I've got a theory. You ready for my theory?
Sure.
Ted Gurdenson's right. Illuminati, the reason they use Lucifer as their god is just to blackmail people and to get the dregs You want to find psychopaths and you want to control them. They're not really contacting demons. And they're just like Dexhammer. They just want the attention. Because Dexhammer does it because he's like me. It's like a stick insect. Can't fight anyone. So all he can do is like scare you. That he can curse you with his spells and magic and his voodoo. And it's like bollocks. Because he's read so many occultic books. And it's like, fuck off. And go to the gym and at least try and pump some iron. It is, isn't it? It's just ghost stories. And don't get me wrong, like Thomas Sheridan's the best occultist. They're all ghost stories. There's no evidence. Even he says he can't prove it. If you look at all the top occultists that have come out from, I think it's Mark Passio, or whatever his name is. He hasn't got anything solid. And I think what happened, is, remember I was talking about the false messiah that the Jews had, where he did redemption through sin. That was like the 1600s. And in 1776, you had Frank Jacob do the same thing and start the Illuminati of that Alex dude. Perhaps when their first mission was to take over the Masonic lodges. So maybe the Masonic lodges didn't use Lucifer, and it changed then. Like all this Lucifer stuff became big through the redemption of sin. And then from there, it's just ghost stories to initiate people. And it's for psychopaths, for people that aren't particularly artistic. And a lot of people will fall for it.
Yeah. I could see that. Like, is it just being a way to
infiltrate and yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, to get the sort of lower dregs of society into it.
I did find, do you want to check this out? I did find the OTO ritual manual if you want to see it. Don't know if you want to see it.
Yeah, sure. You can send it to me.
Still got it? Where is it? Oh. Does talk about sacrificing kids. Pretty sure it does. Ah, I've lost it like a fled. I thought I saved it. Let's find it again. Yeah, but it's not very well hidden, this stuff anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like even Freemasonry is like that, where it's a lot of it's out there. You just got to look for it.
You just type in OTO ritual PDFs, and some of them are meant to be hidden, and they're not really. Oh, here we go. I've got it. So that's how long it took to find. Yeah, you can find them.
Yeah, especially if it's out in PDF format. There's PDF files are very easy to find online.
Most of it's just role playing. Like it's literally like Bohemian Grove. I am the demon of care. Burn thee.
I actually probably
it's very pantomime-y.
I probably already have it. I downloaded these files off of torrent sites a while ago, where it's like
there's loads of them.
Ebook collections on the occult, and it's just like, I mean, massive. I mean, there's like everything in it. Whether it's like actually, I can pull it up on the screen right here, where it's like some of it even is like 9/11 stuff, Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier, First Degree of Freemasonry, Second Degree, Third Degree. That's all in Part 1. Part 3. This is all about CIA, Noam Chomsky, CIA Remote Viewing Manual, Guerrilla Warfare.
Yeah, you want the lot. Just make sure you type in the... I can't remember what I typed in now, but it's something like...
Esoteric.
So they basically just got training manuals. Like,
and then here's a whole file of esoteric libraries, basic concepts of Kabbalah, Barden Cipher Alphabet, Golden Book of Wisdom, Baphomet Luciferian Satanic Mass, Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson. I mean, this is all Book of Enoch, Book of Doom, Book of Devotion, Book of Cain, Book of Black Serpent. And this is all an alphabetized collection. So I mean, let's see. What's an O?
Yeah, it's in this book here.
OTO Manifesto I have in this collection.
Don't surprise me. Just your everyday reading. It's all just pantomime, and it is just the same as Bohemian Grove ritual, where it's just like a pantomime thing. But they do actually you don't do any. It progresses. You do for January. It starts off just like Gnostic Mass, then a Gnostic Mass, then a Gnostic, and a bit of role playing, and then you do if you it's up to them if they progress you. Like there's no, as you know. So then it's like you get to have sex with some dirty chick.
Here's actually.
And then you got to give it. Then you got to get sodomized.
A PDF.
Why are they so into sodomy? They're really into anal sex.
Here's actually a PDF I have. It's the secret rituals of the OTO. Is that the one you sent?
That's one of them. Yeah, that's a good book actually.
Yeah.
That's what Kubrick used for his research in Eyes Wide Shut. That's the book he used. So when I think in London they've got like a Stanley Kubrick bit for him, like he's got like his just some bits and pieces like his research materials and stuff, and that's the main book he used to learn about the occult for Eyes Wide Shut. But yeah, if you skip towards the end rituals, they talk about kids. And the best thing to do is just download it and type in child, and yep.
I forget how you do a letter search on a PDF file. You know the hotkey offhand?
Control F.
Control F. Oh yeah, there we go.
I don't believe Aleister Crowley had. You didn't have a moustache? Cinema and Earthfall are just bollocks. There's nothing in that. I think you need to get to like the 8th degree.
Let's see. It is said that there is a sect of Jewish brethren called Chassidim, whose practice is the sacrifice of man, thus preferably a child, but also an adult, is taken from among the Gentiles and ceremonially slain, so that not a drop of blood is lost, lest the spirit of the victim, taking refuge in that drop, escape the exorcist. This blood is then consumed as a sacrament or employed for talismanic purposes. For once the spirit of the slain one is sealed up into the split and gathered blood, it is multiplied in every part thereof, even as in the mass of the body of Christ is said to be equally in all the myriad consecrated hosts. So there's one talking about child sacrifice.
But this is going to be protected by law now, because now they've registered it, especially in Australia. If you talk out against the OTO, they've got D-lists on everything, so everything's copyrighted. So people have actually gone to jail for criticising the OTO in Australia. That's actually a thing now. I think you want to do it backwards, go to the last, because it gets more graphic as you go along. So let's look at the last reference chart. So they're talking about, you've got to be, a lot of the magic is about making, I can't remember what he called it, but like a demon child.
Yeah, there's some things in there about weird sacrifice, baptisms and stuff like that.
Maybe this isn't the right one, but it definitely says you want the blood for child and stuff.
Man, that video quality is horrible. Need to get another Ethernet cord and do the live streams on a wired connection, because this wireless shit is awful.
It said that there is such sect of the Jewish. Oh yeah, you read that. The sacrifice of no child.
Yeah, that's, and like you're saying, is now they have it where they're basically a protected group, so that any sort of criticism or speaking out against it can end up being dangerous for whoever is doing the speaking out against.
Yeah, the book you've got, The Secret Rituals of the OT, I think it was in that one where it goes into a bit more detail. Yeah, I'm just getting sick of it now. All this occult stuff.
I know, especially, like, I was getting really sick of it when you had that whole Celine Dion ad campaign, because it's so just thrown in people's faces at this rate.
It's not even trendy or edgy.
No, it just seems tired and forced. Like, and that's the thing that I really bothers me about some people, where it's like they don't realize, like, you're not doing anything counterculture or not mainstream. Like, this is mainstream bullshit at this rate. Like, it's like there's no, these people that are like, I'm a Satanist, I'm a witch, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're acting out a part from a Lady Gaga music video. Shut up and sit down.
It is getting too much. Like, you just can't get away from it. Like, I'm watching a Spring Breaker film at the moment. It's just like Satanism all the way through.
Yeah.
Right.
All of it is. I mean, even like I'd watched that whole what was it, The Girl in the Spider's Web movie or something, and it's like, even that, like, I knew there was going to be sort of like you know, I kind of thought there was going to be a female empower narrative to it, because it's about a woman who, like, goes after men that hurts women. But that wasn't even in there, really. I mean, that was just the premise of it. Like, it wasn't like rah women. But there was definitely like a MK Ultra kind of dark occult aspect to it. That was.
You gotta remember that MK Ultra, the main part you really need to understand is the cybernetics issue of it. In cybernetics, if I remember correctly, the meaning comes from who steers the ship.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The word who steers the ship. Like, do you let the current steer the ship, or do you take the wheel and control it? And if that's the case, can you do it? Can you do that with the mind? So where MK Ultra, it's all about feedback loops. And that's Google, Facebook, YouTube. They get real-time feedback loops. So that's where they're at now. So we're in deep, is what I'm trying to say with MK Ultra.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's all done from a distance, like through the TV, where people are put into like that sort of mass hypnosis.
Yeah, that's what I think that, you know, I was saying that ISIS women's allowed to return.
Yeah.
That's what it is, it's a feedback loop. It's not a real story, I don't believe it. I just think she's an actor, and it's a narrative story to see what the British people will put up with.
Yeah, I'd see that.
And also just show them how helpless we are, that we're going to be this mad to let this ISIS person return. And also it sets precedent, because the reason they let her in is because she's a woman and she's vulnerable. So if we let an ISIS woman in, why wouldn't we let just all the women in?
Yeah.
So go, oh, how true. Can you? It's just.
You know what was like ridiculous to watch? The thing I was talking about earlier about some of these people at the protests and stuff. Like, I watched this guy do this interview where he says, you know, these people coming to America, we have to let them in because, you know, they're trying to escape violence and, you know, dangerous living situations and all of this stuff. And then the moment the guy says, yeah, I know, America is a better country than theirs. It's, you know, probably the best country on earth. Someone goes, what? What do you, like the same person that was just saying these people are escaping violence at home and everything like that. Then when it gets phrased as, yeah, America is better than where they're coming from, they go, no, it's not. No, how dare you think that? Like, it's that disconnect where it's like, you know, they'll say how bad these people's countries are in order to get them into America, but then the moment you say, yeah, America is better than that shithole, they'll say, how dare you say that? That's their culture. You can't criticize it. And it's like, yeah, but you were just using it as an excuse as to why we need to let them all in. Like, you can, it's like you can only say, it's like these things have to be put in certain contexts for people to agree with it, and if it's not in that specific context, then they get all nuts. It's like you can talk about the violence. You can talk about the violence in order to defend them coming here, but then the moment you talk about the violence as making their country a bad place to live, they'll fight you the whole way along.
Yeah, I'm getting distracted. I'm being rude. Once I start reading about the OT, I don't even know why I'm going now. But...
yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, we should probably just cut it short for today. The videos, it just went out. I don't know if it's going to start up a new stream or if this is just going to continue the other one, but...
fuck it. Well, it's good to catch up anyway.
Alright, well, I'll talk to you later in the week.
See you later, man.
Alright, take care. I'll